I've got a theory. In fact, I checked this theory out, that I wanted to find out if I had a new band, totally unknown, with its first record, and if this record was going to go on to sell 1 million, I'd like to find out who bought the first one. Because he's pretty smart. You know, it's easy to say, I'm buying the next Beatles record, but somebody's totally unknown. And I checked that out. What I used to do is just go to the factory where we used to ship the records out, and orders used to come in. And the orders for this particular unknown record by this unknown band were always coming from little villages, little small places, up normally in the north of England, away from big centres. And that's where Radio Caroline first captured its audiences. It got the people who had nothing else to do but listen to radio. They're the ones with the ears, really, because they're the ones that are listening.
It's a hard world to get a break in. All the good things have been taken. But girl, there are ways to make certain things pay. Though I'm dressed in these rags, I'll wear sable someday.
London was always the last to get onto a hit record. It'd be in the top 10 before the Londoners would be buying it.
Caroline, the sound of the nation. Caroline!
On April the 17th, 4 weeks after the Caroline set sail, the Mi Amiga slipped away from Greenall.
Eight days later at the Waldorf Hotel in London, the Radio Atlanta group proudly announced that the Mi Amigo had anchored 3.5 miles southeast of Frinton-on-Sea and not many miles from the Caroline. Roy Mason, Labour MP for Barnsley, questioned Mr. Bevan several times in the House of Commons about pirate radio ships.
The vacillation of Her Majesty's government has now allowed Radio Caroline to become established, is now allowing Radio Atlanta to start her test transmissions. An audience is being built up. They will be to some extent annoyed, and consequently the government are building up trouble for themselves.
Anyone who ever loved could look at me.
Within a matter of weeks, though, financial necessity drove Atlanta and Caroline into alliance.
We then had a strange negotiation between the two parties, which ended up in us owning the Mi Amiga. So Caroline then had 2 stations. So we then sent the Queen Fredericia, the original Caroline, round to the Isle of Man and anchored there. Left the Mi Amiga, where it is based on the same wavelengths. We had a national station, really reaching, not including far north of Scotland, but every other part of the United Kingdom. And an audience of near 22 million on a Sunday morning, which made us the biggest commercial station in history.
Caroline, the sound of a nation!
Man, that's groovy.
You're tuned to Radio Caroline on 199, your all-day music station.
How long have you been on board yourself?
Long time, long time. How long have I been on board? 6 weeks. 6 weeks.
It seems to me, and I'm not being unkind, you could do with the rest.
Yes, I could do with the rest.
But feeling a little bit neurotic, are you?
Well, a little bit, yes. You know, I'm smoking about 60 of these things a day, and, but it's, you know, it's all happening. It's great to be in the middle of it all.
What don't you like about it?
What don't I like about it? I don't like not getting enough sleep, but apart from that, fine.
Play Caroline Cash Casino with Findus and be in line for big cash prizes.
To get this whole thing rolling, we needed to get the advertising agencies, the big clients, wanting to do business with us. And there was nothing kind of firm that they could sort of get hold of. 6 Chesterfield Gardens, which was Caroline House. It was absolutely enormous. It was something like 7 floors. The thing that I liked about it was that it had this sort of church-like exterior, very establishment looking. But once you got through the front door of this building, all of that disappeared.
One of the funniest things I can ever remember about him was, God, what was she called? There was an American film star, and it may have been, was it Maureen Swanson or something like that? Gloria Swanson, yeah, who was president of Pepsi-Cola or Coca-Cola or something like that, and she'd come to see us about an advertising campaign that was going to, you know, would have revolutionized our revenues, and in order to give her the insecurity treatment, she was sort of kept waiting in the lobby with all these kind of Dolly Birds and Mick Jagger and people like that for about 2 hours, and then she was shown in, and he'd got a bottle of Pepsi in front of JFK. He had this huge bust of JFK next to him, and it had a straw coming out of it into his mouth. And he said, as soon as she wanted it, he said, "That's the scene, baby, that's the scene." And she just, you know, immediately quit the building. It was Joan Crawford, that story, I've decided. You know, the Pepsi-Cola, I'm sure, was Joan Crawford. And when I think about it, he'd got the wrong kind of cola coming up into JFK's mouth. It was Coca-Cola. That was what. This is it. This is the room, the L-shaped room, where Ronan presided over the airways. From that, over there in that corner, was where the L-shaped desk with the bust of JFK on the thing. This is amazing. This is the room. This is the L. We had that. This was the entire. I mean, this was the entire room was Ronan's office. If you can imagine, I don't know what this was all about, and it was carpeted in sea, Irish, Dublin Bay snot green carpet. Which in fact, I was probably the last person before whoever this artist was to decorate this room. I redecorated personally this entire building, and this was the most important room in the building, and I was then fired by the board of directors for phenomenal over-expenditure. But I think, I'm not sure, but that chandelier rings a bell.